regardless of our position, regardless of our condition. Trinbagonians, look on the bright side. One time. Hold your head up. Hold your head up. Life may be rough. I tell you, times may be tough, but we must keep going. I feel the pain. Yes, we keep pulling strain, but we must keep fighting. Regardless of how it comes, we just can't surrender. We got to keep working towards a better future. We would never be always down and fighting to stay off the ground. You must remember, all day would come. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind this great cloud we're passing. Look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where we go in. No more negative thoughts. With a heavy load, look how we going down the road, but we must keep going. As though we commit a crime, and we keep serving time, but we must keep fighting. Remember they say that nothing lasts forever. One day is for the slave, one day for the master. So always keep your courage up. Don't allow confidence to drop. One day we'll be right there on top. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, really must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind this gray cloud we're passing. So look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where Trinity going. I said the journey may be long. Look how we keep falling down, but we must keep going. It keep getting hot, like the pressure won't stop, but we must keep fighting. Everybody in life must have their little setback, but we just can't say that's that. Sit down and relax. Don't care what you go through today. Surrender we must never say. Yeah, there's a will. There is a way. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, Trini, you must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind the gray cloud we're passing. So look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. One time.
Look on the bright side.
up. Hold your head up. Life may be rough. I tell you, times may be tough, but we must keep going. I feel the pain. Yes, we keep pulling strain, but we must keep fighting. Regardless of how it comes, we just can't surrender. We got to keep working towards a better future. We would never be always down and fighting to stay off the ground. You must remember, all day would come. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind this great cloud we're passing. Look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where we going. No more negative thoughts. With a heavy load, look how we going down the road, but we must keep going. As though we commit a crime, and we keep serving time, but we must keep fighting. Remember they say that nothing lasts forever. One day is for the slave, one day for the master. So always keep your courage up. Don't allow confidence to drop. One day we'll be right there on top. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, really must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind this gray cloud we're passing. So look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where Trinity going. I said the journey may be long. Look how we keep falling down, but we must keep going. It keep getting hot, like the pressure won't stop, but we must keep fighting. Everybody in life does have their little setback, but we just can't say that's that. Sit down and relax. Don't care what you go through today. Surrender, we must never say, yeah, there's a will. There is a way. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, Trini, you must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind the gray cloud we're passing. So look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where we going, and we love you.
Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where we going. Optimism. The prophetic tradition. The Black Stallion. Dr. Leroy Calise. optimism, prophecy. Look on the bright side, for the bright side is where we go in. We may be down today, but tomorrow we're going to be up. There may be setbacks today, but tomorrow we're going to come roaring back again. Tomorrow on Friday, the Partnership for National Unity, APNU, will be in Linden for a street parliament. Good evening to all of you in Linden. Please make sure you come out tomorrow for the street parliament. Their parliament has not been convened since the end of the budget debate, but we in the APNU are determined that we are not going to be deterred by that. And so tomorrow at Linden, in Linden, we take Parliament there. We only got to speak for 15 minutes in Parliament, but at Linden, we will get to speak frankly on the budget and other issues that are of relevance. Look on the bright side, for the bright side is where we go in. The bright side is where we go in. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to all of you joining us. Those of you who have joined us already, please share the live, please share the link. Let everyone know that we are here tonight. It's a Thursday night. Coming down to the end of the week. Look on the bright side. The Black Stallion, always urging us to be positive, to look on the bright side, regardless of our condition.
One time. Hold your head up. Hold your head up. Life may be rough. I tell you, times may be tough, but we must keep going. I feel the pain. Yes, we keep holding strain, but we must keep fighting. Regardless of how it comes, we just can't surrender. We got to keep working towards a better future. We would never be always down and fighting to stay off the ground. You must remember, all day will come. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side, because I see a silver lining behind this gray cloud we're passing. Look on the bright side. Look on the bright side, for the bright side is where we go in. No more negative thoughts. With a heavy load, look how we're going down the road, but we must keep going. As though we commit a crime, and we keep serving time, but we must keep fighting. Remember, they say that nothing lasts forever. One day is for the slave, one day for the master. So always keep your courage up. Don't allow confidence to drop. One day we'll be right there on top. while we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, Trini must think positive.
Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side.
Because I see a silver lining behind this gray cloud we're passing. So look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where Trini going.
For the bright side is where we going. We know that sometimes we feel as though all is lost and we throw in the towel, we opt out of the struggle, we blame each other, we blame the voters, we curse our people. All of that may be necessary, but at the end of the day, we've got to press on and look on the brighter side, because the brighter side is where we're going. Good evening, Linden. Good evening to all Guyanese, whether you're joining us from inside of our legal borders or you're joining us from outside of Guyana in the wider Caribbean, North America, Europe. Welcome to Politics 101. We're keeping on, always trying to ask questions, always asking questions, always trying to push doors open, stubborn doors. We are human beings, and human beings resist the wrongs of our time, and we must continue to do so. Come out at Linden tomorrow night, the street parliament, APNU street parliament. We are going to be there tomorrow evening. And make sure you come out and be part of that event. Good evening to all of you, those of you joining us from Berbice. We are going to be coming to Berbice shortly. West Coast Berbice especially, good evening. Good evening to those of you on the quarantine. Down the river, down the Berbice River, down the Kanji River. Kanji water. You know, grew up here in the Kanji water goes well on me, mama. Or me over Kanji water. We're always crossing waters, you know, because we Africans, we're always swimming back to Africa. So we're always crossing waters, physical waters. We're always looking on the brighter side. Always. Good evening to you. They have announced today that they are beginning to put things in place for the cash grant. God bless those of us who have been saying to the government, release the money to the people. It's not enough. It's not what they want, but it's their money. Release it to them. And I saw an announcement today that they're beginning to put things in place. And we are going to continue to push that process. We're going to continue to push that process. The world is spinning. The world is spinning. We've said here in this program that we're witnessing a change in the world order, a change that we, the Guyanese, have little to do with. Wars and rumors of wars, the Christians would tell us. The price of oil has gone up. I suppose the government is going to say, we are benefiting from war. Wars and rumors of wars. But we have to stay strong and stay put. Last night, we took our government to task. We made the point that our government has no right to wash its mouth in Cuba or any country in the world, because our government, our status quo, is as dirty as any dirty status quo around the world. We have elections where parties participate, but once one party wins that election, they control the country like a one-party state. The other parties have no significant say. We can speak as we speak, always, but we are shut out of decision-making. And so our president has no moral or political authority to preach to the rest of the world about democracy. Democracy means that all those who are affected by decision must make the decisions. That definition was coined by our own Sir Arthur Lewis, our Nobel Prize winner from St. Lucia, who in his analysis of government and politics in West Africa, the plural societies of West Africa, made that definition. Sir Arthur Lewis was making what we call a substantive definition of democracy. There's what you call the formal definition of democracy, which is elections every 4 years or 5 years, one person, one vote, and that's it. That's electoral democracy. That's formal democracy. But substantive democracy says having the right to vote. Does that translate into the right to govern? The right to make decisions, and we're moving them from formal to substantive. What is the substance of democracy? You have the forms of democracy. Elections, one person, one vote on election day. You have the parliament, you have the cabinet, you have the courts, they're in place. But do they function in a fair way? Do these institutions function in ways that empower the people? Are the elections free from fear? You're moving there from the forms of democracy to the substance of democracy. How does the parliament contribute to the well-being of the people? Is the parliament controlled by the representatives of the people, all of the representatives of the people? Or is the parliament controlled by only the representatives of part of the people, some of the people? Talk to me. Talk to me. Any fool can use the word democracy. Any fool may be able to spell the word democracy. But fools do not know that democracy is not just form, it's substance. Does one person, one vote lead to an improvement in the quality of the life of each citizen? And so therefore, when our president goes abroad and seek to give the impression of a functioning democracy at home, we must rebuke him. And that's what we did last night, and that's what we continue to do. That's what we must continue to do. We are not living in a democracy. Sometimes in opposition, people talk about our democracy. At best, as Dr. Henry Jeffrey would argue, we are living in an autocracy, an elected autocracy. We have been paying attention to elections in recent times, especially the 2020 election and the 2025 elections. And neither of those two elections has passed a democratic muster. The European Union and the other observers have said in not very garbled language that our 2025 election lacked democratic substance. We are constantly fighting to democratize our politics and democratize our society. $1.5, almost $1.6 trillion are in the hands of the representatives of one party. And because our politics are divided along ethnic lines, unfortunately, when one party controls, that translates into one ethnic group controlling, or the representatives of one ethnic group controlling, and the representatives of another ethnic group or other ethnic groups being left out of the control of the society. That is not democracy. Again, Sir Arthur Lewis says, democracy must mean that all those who are affected by a decision must be at the table to make the decision. That is what we are talking about. And in Guyana, our system is bereft of such democratic considerations. But we're looking on the brighter side, because the bright side is where we are going. For the good of all of us, for the good of all of us, we have to have a table where all of us sit down and make decisions about all of us and for all of us. Some time ago, a couple of years ago, I made the point that if we can't sit at the table, we knock down the table. I think James Farmer, one of the young freedom fighters at the time in the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, during the Civil Rights Movement, may have been the person who said that. Maybe James Farmer. I'm thinking it may not be James Farmer, but one of the young members of SNCC. So it wasn't anything original, I was saying. They made every word of it at the time, because, you know, sometimes they pay attention to language. At other times, language don't matter. But when they want to paint you as some crazy person, they point to language. But the fact of the matter, if we all can't be at the table, then we ought to upset that table. The logic of human existence says that. Bob Marley asked, how long shall we kill our prophets? How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? How long? And they're constantly, every day, killing our prophets physically, killing our young people, creating conditions for our young people to kill themselves. Killing our voices, writing us out of history. That's death. That's death. Professor Orlando Patterson, our Caribbean champion scholar, Jamaican by birth, Caribbean by civilization. He coined the concept of social death to say, in effect, what happened during the period of slavery was that the Africans who were enslaved, they may have been alive physically for a couple of years, because by the time they got a slave, an enslaved person, got to 20, 22, 25 years, they were old and they were not useful anymore. So they didn't have long lives, but at least they were alive in a physical sense. But Orlando Patterson said they lived the life of social death. I hear the young people, you know, by Yerba Tam, that's a dead man. And when I hear that, I say, these young people in their own way, they understand Orlando Patterson's concept of social death. You're from Dubai, that's a dead man by. He's alive physically, but the local parlance is saying socially he's dead. And that is what Patterson argued, social death. When you don't have enough money to have 3 square meals with the kind of nutrients that you need for your body. Dr. King talked about nutrients for the body and nutrients for the mind. When you are bereft of 3, you don't get 3 square meals. That's social death. Social death. Mother wakes up in the morning. She's not able to muster a meal to send her child to school. That's social death. When people are not able to get the passage, the money to pay transportation for their 4 children to go to school, that's social death. You're alive physically, but you're dead socially. 60% poverty, 6 out of 10 people. That's social death. That is what Orlando Patterson meant. We're alive, but socially and economically we are dead. So, sisters and brothers, we are not causing hysteria in the society. We are basically speaking about what is true, the lived reality of our people. And we cannot continue to be quiet. We cannot continue to be afraid to speak truth to power. During my address during the debate, I invoke Martin Carter. Everywhere the faces of men are strained and anxious. The PPP people were angry at me. What are you talking about? But Martin Carter talked about that in 1953. Everywhere the faces of men are strained and anxious. And if you can't guarantee that you're going to get a proper meal tomorrow, you are anxious. And it shows on your face. Speaking to a mother today, and she was telling me that her child had to drop out of GTI because the child cannot afford a computer, because the assumption now is that you have to have a computer. And we take it for granted that people have access to a computer. You know, there's so much you can do on the phone. I started to read on the phone over the last couple of years, but sometimes it gets so frustrating because the phone, you know, doesn't allow you to comfortably read. So to do certain work, I mean, if you're a GTI, it's technical work, you need a computer. This mother is telling me that her child has to drop out because he or she, a she in this case, cannot afford a computer. That's social death. That's social death. And those stories are replicated all across our country. And our government walks around and gives the impression that all is well. We have to commend the government when it's doing positive things. But government may do macro things. The question is whether those macro mean big, whether those macro things have micro effect, whether big things trickle down to the individual and the family. 50% of our budget is on infrastructure, roads and buildings. Good. We need physical infrastructure. The question, do those roads and buildings lead to an improvement in the lives of people? An apparent improvement. the government has to make the case, and it has not made that case, that the expenditure on infrastructure is having a positive effect on the lives of the individual and the family. Yes, we know when you spend on infrastructure, it's indirect. But at some point, the indirect has to become direct. And I don't think the government has made that case. I am sure they've not made that case. How do roads, the existential threat in our country today is poverty? Poverty. The mighty shadow said poverty is hell. And those of us who are Christians or even non-Christians know what hell is. You burn in hell. And so when you have poverty, when more than half of your population is trapped in poverty, they're living in hell. They're burning in hell. How do your expenditures on roads and buildings and bridge get those people out of hell? The PPP has not made that case. And what we are arguing is that 50% of $1.5 trillion in expenditure in infrastructure is not going to get people out of hell. And so why not reduce the expenditure, the spending on infrastructure, and shift some of that money to areas that are in the short term going to lead to an exit from hell. If people are guaranteed better incomes, it means that their spending power in the market is going to increase. Good evening to you, Stacy, who is a small vendor. Stacy is a small vendor. If people have more income, they're likely to buy more from the small vendor. The small vendor gets an income because there is no more demand. And the worker gets more products that they need. You know, sometimes we get mad at the market man or the market woman. And why you care up the price of callaloo so high? And we blame the Ballinger man for raising the price of Ballinger or pumpkin. But that vendor, that small vendor, is a worker too. And she has to make a living wage. She has to make a living, as we say. So our target should not be that small vendor, not the market man and the market woman. Often, that market woman is at the end of a chain. You all know the big producers, then you get the wholesaler and the retailer. Now, by the time you get down to that, you must get about 4 wholesalers in between. Long time used to be one wholesaler, middleman. So by the time you get down to the person who's selling in the market, the prices have to be high. It is what we call the distribution of resources. And the government can ensure a more democratic distributive system. The person who's selling the Callaloo and the Bora has to live too. And often we, the consumer, cost them. But it's not them need to be cursed. The government is ensuring all kinds of tax breaks for the importer at the top. And the hope is that when you give them the tax breaks, it will seep down to the bottom, but there's no guarantee of that. Once prices go up, they stay up. And when you give the breaks to the man at the top, with the hope that he will bring down the price, he not bring them down. But he gets the breaks. And where it goes? In his bank account. He gets rich. So don't blame the market woman or the market man. They are as abused as you, the consumer. The prices are high because the government, first of all, does not provide enough wages to the ordinary people to improve their spending power. And at the other end, it does not put the necessary rules in place to ensure that those at the top do not palm off all the money and that they pass some of it down the line, down the chain. The government has to engage in regulation, some form of regulation. We've talked so many times, more farm-to-market roads. I live in a village here, they've been talking about farm-to-market roads forever. I made a personal initiative, representation in 2019, just before the election. I think I can say, I can call the name of the minister. Minister Raphael Truckman. You know, sometimes they say, what David Hines ever do for black people? And I made that representation to Mr. Truckman, and he was prepared to work with me to get a farm-to-market, 2 farm-to-market roads here in Buxton. And we had begun, he approached some private sector people, and the hope was that they were going to win the election, we were going to win the election in 2020. And with the help from the private sector and help from the government, we were going to get farm-to-market road. Unfortunately, the elections were rigged and we were rigged out of power. And so Buxton up to today, 10 years later, no farm, 6 years later, 7 years later, no farm-to-market road. We were able to secure a couple of boats. I think they're still sitting somewhere, but the boats couldn't navigate the canal because the canals were not routinely cleaned. I can say that. Minister Truckman, I worked with him. You see, when we talk about what David Hines ever do for black man, see, I'm not concerned just with helping an individual here and there. We do that every day. If I walk down the road and somebody asks me for a money to buy a meal, how can I say no if I have it? But I'm concerned with more than that. I'm concerned with the resources in the community to help our people to be more productive and to carry down the costs of products. Every Sunday morning in front of where I live here, there are about 6 to 8, mostly farmers, who manage to bring things out of the back dam. I don't know how they do it. They manage to bring greens and vegetables, and they come in front of here early Sunday morning, and they have this little market. People come out here early, 6 o'clock. By the time 7:30, the market is over. And those people are here to sell their greens. I buy stuff out here. The cost is reasonable. When I talk to those men and women who sell out here, clearly what they're doing is a community service. They're not making any big profit. When they tell me about the time and money that is involved in planting and nurturing, the price that they sell to their fellow villagers here is very low, and they don't make any big profit. I know that, but I didn't do the calculation. But those prices can be low if they are able to bring their produce out. First of all, they don't plant plenty because they can't bring them out. So they plant just enough to bring out and to think. We don't have a market here in this village. As you know, you all know in most African villages, they don't have a market. But I applaud those people. There are no more than 10, 12 of them. But every Sunday morning, they're in front of here, and they provide that service. As I said, mostly at a loss, making just enough, as they say, to break even and maybe make a little small piece. But they could do better. Our government talks a lot about roads and bridges. Where are the farm to market roads in communities that need them? There are farm to market roads in some communities. God bless those communities, and God bless the government. But what about the other communities? Somebody was asking me yesterday, it's a question I get all the time. David, what has changed since you are now back home full time? Because I was back home from 1997. I left in 1987 and I finished studying in 1997, and I started to come back home part-time. I would be here during the August holidays, during the Christmas holidays. That amounted to about 4 months. Thank God for the job that I did. I didn't have to be on the job 12 months a year. You know, we teachers and professors, we get what is called research time, because we're supposed to be researching during that time, and so on. And I was able to use that time to come home and do activism. And I'm doing that from 1997, the last 30 years. And so people ask me what has changed, and I said not much has changed, because I just continue to do my activism. It is just that instead of being here just 4 or 5 months, I'm now here 12 months. But I remark what has changed is that by being here permanently, I am hearing things that I may have missed when I wasn't here 12 months of the year. Because you know, the thing is, when you come from May to August, you left August, by the time you come back December, it's like you have to start all over again, because things are moving so quickly, things are changing, most times for the worse, sometimes for the better. But when you're here all the time, you're stringing the pieces together day by day. And that is what has changed for me. Is that my activism has continued. That has not changed. What has changed is that I'm picking up some things. And one of the things that I'm picking up is the way people have to, on a daily basis, figure out how to survive. It's not easy. I'm able to mind people's business more. That is, figure out how much people are making on a daily basis when they come and put up them little stand. My friend and comrade Ogunse always rebuked me and others and said, this little stand story, we have to go beyond that. And we have to have our people into real small business and medium-sized businesses for them to make money. Can't make money on these little stands. And I am learning that. That is something I'm learning. By talking to people, observing prices. Went the other night to buy plantain. The girl tell me, I said, what a pound? She said, $2.60. 2 weeks ago when I went there, she said it was $2.50. She tell me $2.60. She said, but 2 pounds for 500. And I smiled. Because in order to meet the community, $20 makes a difference. If you got $2.60 a pound, and that's boxing price, because they tell me in Georgetown is 300 and 320 and 340. But in order to shift, she's selling 2 for 5. If she sell at 260, it will be 520. And I asked her, she said, Dr. Hines, it makes a difference. $500 or $520, that $20 makes a difference. Makes a difference. And that is the condition of our people. And the government doesn't talk about that. The government, I don't think, knows about that. And if they know, they don't care. We are spending 40 billion on this, 40 billion on that. How much you're spending on the individual or the family? The spending power of the worker is weak. That is why the cost of living is high. You know, people go there, they come back, they spend 3 weeks, they say, buy Guyana nice. Because they come with spending money and they can afford to buy things at the price. So Guyana nice. But for the person there who's living on fixed wages, a fixed wage, when the prices go up and your wage don't go up, the cost of living gone up. Because your wage is fixed, but the price not fixed. There's no subsidy anymore. When I was a little boy, I remember sugar was 2 pounds for 7 cents. I think flour was 2 pounds for 13 cents. Those days they used to what they call subsidized prices. You couldn't raise the price of sugar. You couldn't raise the price of flour. You couldn't raise the price of fry oil. Those things were basic. The government make sure that they put a cap on it. Today there is no cap. So the prices of those things can go up, but your wage remain fixed. That is the basis of the high cost of living. The government may tell you it can't control the market. It cannot control the prices. It can. But they may, say we can't. We don't fix the price of the market. You don't fix the price of the market, but you can damn well fix the price of labor. You can fix the price of wages. And that is why we say When you look through $1.5 trillion in a budget spending, and you don't see anything substantive there for public servants, then you understand that public servants are in trouble when they go to face the market. And these are the things that we have to break down for you. So please, after tonight, don't cuss the Greens lady. Don't cuss the juice girl. Because they are workers too. And they have to live. It is the government. It is the big retailers and wholesalers and importers. It's them. And the government looks after them, the so-called private sector. So you cannot tell us, that our country is doing well and we are the envy of the world. Who the hell wants to come to a country? Who the hell will envy a country with 60% poverty? We're not damn fools. People want to come here to make big money, to get in under 50% of $1.5 trillion. That's what they want to come here for. They don't want to come here to live in an impoverished way. The government has to decide when it says put people first. Are you putting the 60% in poverty first? Or are you putting the 10% or the 5% that is wealthy? Are you putting them first? Look, let me be clear. These problems that I'm talking about are not easy. That's why they're problems. They're not easy. So I don't want to sit there and pretend that there's some magic in getting rid of poverty. There's no magic. To get rid of poverty, you have to want to get rid of it. You have to be intentional about it. You have to craft policies, not one policy, but connecting policies to tackle that chronic systemic institutional problem. So I start there. That the government doesn't wake up one morning and say, we're going to end poverty and end it. It doesn't work like that. I know that. So these are not easy. I'm not talking about ending poverty tomorrow. At one time, the poverty rate had come down from 68% to 48%. And then, boom, it fly back to 50-something%. What that says is that the government is not systemically and seriously tackling the problem of poverty. I asked a lady today who told me she had to drop out because she had get a computer. She said, one computer is $80,000, another one is $60,000. And by the way, if anybody has a computer they're not using, can you contact me after this program so that that child can continue to go to TI? You can contribute in kind. If you have a computer, just tell me. Or if you don't have a computer and you want to contribute towards it, please do. Because that's another child that is going to fall through the crack at your child. At your child in an environment where in the old days we used to say boys are vulnerable, by child vulnerable. But today girls are more vulnerable than boys. So if you all can help, just get in contact with me. And thanks, I think there are a couple of people. Somebody is saying here, Bantu King is saying he has 2 computers for me. All right. All right. Just get in touch with me. And we will make the arrangement. The number that I can be, let me see, I'll have to put them down on the screen. I'll have to put it down on the screen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me make sure that I put the number that I can be reached on the screen. I will make sure I put the number on there on the screen that I can be reached. Thank you very much. But those are, that's the reality that we have to live with on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes we abuse the young people, that they have no ambition and all of that kind of stuff. And it's no fault of theirs. It's a harsh society that we are living in. Very harsh. I understand, we have to understand why people want that $100,000. It's not much. It's the only one you can get for this year. It's $8,500 a month. Is less than $3,000 a day. That's what it is. No, it's not anything big. They will actually be spending $60 billion on cash run for $100,000, $3,000 a day or less. Planting $300 pound. By the time you buy 5 pound planting, 4 pound planting, half of the money done, the cash grant money per day. And so, sisters and brothers, we have to look on the brighter side. We have to look on the brighter side. We have to look on the brighter side. Because we cannot give up on this. Tomorrow at Linden, we are going to be there. Some of the parliamentarians will be speaking. Those of us who are not speaking, we will be there on the ground to meet, to listen. Because we have to break down doors. This is about politics, but it's also about life. It's about combating social death. That little child, that girl who has to drop out from GTI because of a computer, she's been condemned to social death. Where does she go next? The next thing she get a baby, and then we gonna cuss, oh, the little girl, the slack, and the this, and This is a cruel country to the poor. So those of you who, the brother who says, or the sister, please contact me. 603 0010. 603 0010. And let us keep that little girl in GTI. We have to do what we can do on an individual basis. But all we are doing is holding strain, because this problem is bigger than at the individual level. It's a systemic problem. And some groups are more vulnerable. All groups are vulnerable. But some groups are more vulnerable than others. The Amerindians are more vulnerable. I was talking to a friend the other night. She was preparing dinner for her children. Well, not dinner, breakfast for next morning. And she said she cooking Edo leaf up at Linden. I mean, actually, the price of Edo leaf. Jesus. When I was a little boy going to Linden, Edo leaf, people used to throw away Edo leaf. Now, Edo leaf is man in Linden. Because Linden, you get all them Edo and Tanya and all them things there. And Edo leaf, me understand, is a man in Linden. But imagine what is Edo leaf outside of Linden here on the coast. And it occurred to me that every now and again you could go and get a Edo leaf, cook up somewhere, you could get the Edo leaves through. And I realized them thing, you're not seeing them, hearing them being sold now. Because Edo leaf is a man. Edo leaf. And so we continue to do what we have to do. We have to expose so that we can depose. Not just depose the government, because you can get rid of the government. But if you don't get rid of the regime, the system, sometimes, we conflate regime and government. The government is a government. Governments come and government go. But the regime, meaning the system, remains. And that's why some of us call ourselves revolutionaries, because we don't want just to get rid of government. We want to get rid of the regime, the system. We want to get rid of the regime and put in place a regime that will end the poverty. Tomorrow night we are going to be in Linden. Come out there to be part of the discussion. We also want to hear from you. Linden is a special place. All communities are special, but Linden is special among special. Walter Rodney referred to it as the cradle of the revolution, the working class. They produced bauxite at one time, bauxite, sugar, and rice, carried this country. Today, Linden is hurting. Linden is experiencing social death. Orlando Patterson, social death. But we got to look on the brighter side, because the bright side is where we're going. So we're not going to be on air tomorrow night with the program, but we will be streaming. For those of you who are outside of Linden, outside of Guyana, Politics 101 will be streaming the street parliament so that you can hear and see what's going on. So we're not going to have a live program tomorrow night because God spare life, as they say. We are heading to the Bauxite Town. Continue to stay with us. Continue to believe that despite the fact we don't have formal power, that we are still making a difference. We have to plan. We have to organize. Because we have to find a way to sit at the table. It's all right. The BBC came and they want to tell the story of Guyana. But Terence Campbell couldn't go. So he's not able to tell the story of a section of the electorate Drummond's son is there to tell the story of the private sector. Small group of business people, top business people, but they get front seat. And Terence Campbell, who represents 75,000 voters and more, because another 75,000 stay home. So Terence Campbell theoretically represents 150, 160,000 voters. Yet, he doesn't get front seat. Is the system fair? BBC allowed itself to be manipulated by the government. They said they don't want Campbell. They want the leader of the opposition because they think they have the measure of Azadin. So they figure, well, Azadin ain't know too much about them stories. So they're going to go there, he's going to go there, and they're going to try to make him a fool. Well, Azadin said he ain't going. He sent Sister Tabitha Sarbo Ali. And what they said promptly? Oh, she didn't represent herself. So it shows that they are playing games with the BBC thing. They wanted not for the opposition to go there to represent its interests. They wanted to play games to beat up the opposition. That is what passes of politics today. I've said here in this program that elections have consequences, yeah? And those of our supporters who decided to stay home because they didn't like Aubrey Norton, some of us decided that we were going to vote for another party because we didn't like Aubrey Norton. Well, no. Look where we're there. We don't have a formal voice. But the people have spoken. And I ain't crying. I ain't crying. I'm just saying elections have consequences. Elections should not be the only way, the only means of determining your influence. Whether you get one seat, a Manzawit or one seat should be represented because she represents 4,000 voters or how many she got. Much more if you have 12 seats. But it means that those who voted for the representatives, the 12 plus 1, don't even have a voice on a program like BBC. Elections have consequences. We're not crying, we're looking on the brighter side. But the brighter side is I'm addressing APNU supporters, all your Lorne, yeah? Staying home in an election weakens yourself. Experimenting when the other side is not experimenting weakens yourself. Some of us have always believed that we should have a power sharing system, whether you get one seat or 12 seat, or 16 seat, or 30 seat, you will be represented in cabinet. We don't have that system. If we had that system, you could experiment. You could say, we don't like the APNU, we're going to reduce them to 16 to 12 seats, but they will still have a place at the table. We will give Win 16 seats. They will have a place at the table. We will give Amanza 1 seat. She will have a place at the table. A power sharing system where all those who are affected by a decision sits at the table. You can experiment. You can split up your vote. All that happens is that you're splitting up the representation, but you will be represented. We don't have a power sharing system. They snooze and we lose, but we're not complaining. Look on the brighter side. For the bright side is where we're going. We got work to do. Plenty work to do. But we are capable of confronting the devil again and again. The Lion of Judah shall break every chain and give us the victory again and again. All right, those of you who got computers for me, please contact me. Thank you, Rosemond, who sends our donation every month. And somebody else sent a donation this month. I'm so busy sometimes I don't remind you all of your donation. And so you all slacking, right? But thanks to those of you who remember to send your donation, right? Because we still got to keep the thing going, right? So those of you who are accustomed to sending donations, we still accept donations. But I'm looking for a computer for this young lady, and I'm sure there are others who would need computers. So if we have more than one, we will be able to help where help is needed. See you all in Linden tomorrow night.